Writing is one of the most powerful tools to have ever been invented. Writing implies reading. Reading is one of the most powerful skills that you can learn. So much so that it is necessary for modern life. That's why you are forced to learn it in school. Everyone must learn this. I remember that I was always told from a very young age that it is very good to have a habit of reading for half an hour every night. But being just a typical little kid, I of course never kept up with this. My mom would read me bedtime stories or whatever, and then I would have other books like Harry Potter that I would read on my own. But there are so many classic books that everyone has heard the name of, but very few people have actually read. In our digital age of short form content, where we have very little attention span, myself very much included, we just don't have the patience or the time or aren't willing to make the time to sit down and read things, even though there is very valuable information hidden within. And so what I've done is I went to my parents' place and I sorted every book in the house into two piles. Books that I absolutely have zero interest in reading, and everything else, meaning books I definitely do want to read, books that I guess I'm willing to tolerate, a ton of books that I should have read growing up, but I never did. So yes, like lots of little kid books. Books written for 5-year-olds, and I have them here now, and apparently I'm going to read them. Religious books, which if you know me at all, I am not a religious person, but I do want to continue learning about that stuff, because I'm convinced that learning more about it will only strengthen my disbelief rather than swing me towards belief. We got audiobooks on cassette. What else do I got on that shelf over there? And just like a lot of old books in general, because my mom was a teacher, and so she got like free books that they were throwing out at the library and stuff like that. So yeah, what I've done is I brought all of those books here, and I've sorted all of them in approximately the order I would like to read them all. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read them all. I don't even know how many there are. I'm going to count them and put that number here. But it's a lot, and I'll show you in a moment. But I'm going to read every single one, and I'm also going to make a review video for every single one. And I want to have all of these read by the end of the year. So that many books divided by this many days left in the year, I have this many days per book to read them all. Some of them will definitely take longer than that, but some of them are much, much shorter, thinner, bigger print, and I can read many books per day to kind of make up for it, hopefully. Now, disclaimer, I definitely will not succeed in this endeavor. There's no way. Like, I have several different versions of the Bible. There's no way. Like, that would be a feat all of its own, to read just one Bible in 1 year and understand everything in it. There's so much in there. But I'm gonna read as many as possible, and then I'm going to bring them back to my parents' house, at which point I'm going to help her sort all of these into categories of, is this something she's actually going to read, or is it gonna sit on her shelf for the rest of her life? Is this a children's book that she's actually going to read to one of my nieces and nephews, or is it gonna sit on a shelf for the rest of her life? Can we give that to one of the nieces and nephews, and my siblings can read it to them? Etc., and all else will be donated, so that hopefully someone can actually read these instead of them just sitting on the shelf for the next who knows how many years. So to wrap this up, I will give you a brief little tour of my bookshelf to show you what's all on there, and then I'm gonna spend a couple hours today reading through as many of these as possible and making review videos of each. So this is officially the start of a new series, and one could consider this channel to be sort of a digital book club, so to speak. Books! Look at all those books! That is a lot of books. You can even see there's a second row back there behind the main row. I've got books back there. I've got them tucked way back in that corner. There's just so many books. So here we go. We got like the little children's books here. These are the ones that are really short. I can read many of these in a day. I mean, look at how thin they are. And that'll kind of get me ahead of schedule for when I start getting to these thicker books here. We got those, then we got the books on tape on cassette. I have the actual books and then the cassettes that go with it. Then we've got this stack here of children's books. Those are for really little kids. These are for like a little bit older, like school age. Books that are based on movies, or maybe the movie's based on the book. You know, some classics, blah, blah, blah. Some miscellaneous books. We got these that are like in boxes and kind of go as sets. These ones, for example, IJK, clearly I'm missing A through H, and QRS and U through Z. Then we got these adventure survival books, which this one here does not go to that one. This one goes over here to more adventure survival books back there. Then we got some more miscellaneous stuff. Then we go into the Divergent series, the Harry Potter series, stuff like that. We got really, really old books. We turn the corner. We got more really, really old books. Then that brings us down here
more old books, really, really old books, transitioning into some bigger, thicker books. Then we've got like some that were given to me by friends, more miscellaneous, big books, big books, big books. Then we got like books about ADHD and children, and when I was really little, a bunch of people were convinced that I had ADHD. I'm still not convinced that it's even a thing. So this would be fascinating to read this stuff and see like what people say about ADHD and what kind of things my mother was reading about them back then. Maybe it'll help me understand my childhood a bit better. And then way back in there, we got like a bunch of miscellaneous religious things, and then Bibles and catechism and all that nonsense. So I think that should cover everything. As far as the order that I'm going to read them in, I'm going to read all of these first, read these as well, to read all this children's stuff and just get it over with. Then I'll come around the corner and I'll start working on all of these, at which point I'll allow myself to jump around a little bit. Maybe I'll read some of these and then I'll decide, no, I want to read these now. And then I'll come back over here, and no, I want to read one of those, and come back over here, and let's read some old books now, and then come back here and read one of these. And I can be super picky about the order. The one thing I definitely do want to do is, like I said, get these over with. And I'm going to save both of the books I'm most looking forward to and least looking forward to for the end. Oh, right, I completely forgot another way of explaining this, is that these are all like stories. Back there, those are stories. A lot of these older books I'm pretty sure are stories, but then this is more like learning, historically accurate things, learning about Alaska, learning about South America, learning about hunting and sign language and all that stuff. And then the learning transitions into learning about how children learn, I guess. That kind of stuff. That's all my books. I own very few of them, and I'm going to read all of them and get them out of here into other people's hands so more people can read these stories. Or maybe some of these books will be absolutely trash, and it'll be like, well, no one should waste their time on this. At which point, should I donate them or should I burn them? Also, now that I just spent an hour filming the intro and outro for the next couple dozen of these book review videos, I have remembered I forgot to mention my reading journal. A couple years ago, I attempted this challenge that I am imposing upon myself to read every book from my parents' house aside from the ones that I just definitely have zero interest in. And I kept track of what I read, when I finished reading it, and what I thought of it at the time. So I have read quite a few of these, but I think I read maybe like a 1/16 of the books on the shelf. And so I'm gonna read all of them again, even if I already read it. And the ones that I did already read, I will bring up that entry and see what I thought of it then versus what I think of it now and compare that as well. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you've been reading lately down in the comment section below. If you like this video, press like. If you want to see more, then subscribe and turn on notifications to stay tuned for more. Share my videos with anyone else you think might enjoy them, and take care.